All right, folks, we're going to head back to court in just a moment. But first, let's bring in criminal defense attorney Robin Nunn. Robin, what do you make of the testimony as it continues? I think one of the things that jumped out at me was this idea of his state of mind, and that he was kind of afraid to, he said he would never get into a fight with A$AP Rocky because he knew that it could affect his career.
Yeah, it's interesting that he is at least self-aware to understand that A$AP Rocky is obviously a large entertainer, and that he realized meeting up with him and having this altercation had consequences possibly for his career and his life.
How important is it for either side to establish who was the aggressor? The defense in their opening statement was clear that they're painting the victim as the aggressor. At some point during this confrontation, the roles kind of switch. At least that's what Joe Tacopina said, the attorney for A$AP Rocky. How important is that? Because as I listen to this story, I'm saying really what's important here is whether there was a real gun and what he thought was in that guy's hand and whether in fact it was a real gun. Do you think that's the most important thing, or does all this lead up and who was the aggressor, that's super important as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it really matters who the aggressor was, or quite frankly, what they were arguing about, or what they even said to one another. It would be obviously interesting to know, give a more fulsome picture. But with this sort of, alleged murder charge, attempted murder, it's really the fact that obviously A$AP Rocky perhaps had a weapon that could indeed harm or kill someone. And I think that the prop gun versus real gun is the issue that I think stands out the most to me.
Yeah, and I think ultimately the fact that, he says, look, I went to this meetup with the idea that we were going to hash some things out, which I kind of buy. He didn't go with a weapon of any kind. So I think all those things sort of line up, and I think certainly help him in terms of his testimony.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that he did not bring a weapon, that he did not intend to shoot or kill A$AP Rocky during this altercation. I think he does admit that he was aware that a fight could ensue, and I think that he was prepared for that outcome, which is not a great fact. But I think at the end of the day, it seems like A$AP Rocky is being accused of being the bigger aggressor.
Yeah, and I was glad that he admitted that once A$AP Rocky grabbed him, he said it made him angry, because it did, and it wouldn't make anyone angry. So you got to admit to some things, and I think that's important, as I said earlier. All right, Robin, stand by. I want to take folks back into court. The alleged victim still on the stand, testifying about that altercation with the defendant. Let's go back in.
Where that came from?
Came from his waistline.
Okay, so
Came from his waistline.
this might be clear to everybody except me, but can you have Mr. Ephron identify on the screen who's who?
Yes, please.
I'm the one on the red, and then it's Rocky with the black hoodie.
Thank you.
For the record, he's pointing on the left side.
You have a sweatshirt with some type of graphic on it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here I have some photographs of his clothing. I have three photographs. Can I just staple them and collectively mark them as equals 16?
16A through C.
Okay. I'm going to show you 16A. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yeah, that's my hoodie.
Is that the same hoodie that you were wearing that day?
Yes, it is.
And is that the back of the hoodie?
Yes.
And then 16B, do you recognize that?
Yes, in front of my hoodie.
Same one you were wearing that day?
Yes.
And then 16C,
Yes, my sweatpants.
same one you were wearing that day?
Yes.
Okay. So your sweatshirt or hoodie had that graphic on the back, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go back to the video. If I can remember where we left off. So you, my video. So you're saying that you were upset that he grabbed you by the collar, but then he produced the gun with his from his waistband, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you remember which hand he was holding the gun in, his left or his right?
Probably his right.
Do you remember? Or?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, you just remember he had a gun in his hand.
Yeah, I just remember he had a gun in his hand.
Did you, and I don't mean the incident that you saw it, but throughout this incident, could you see the gun clearly?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know the difference between a semi-automatic pistol and a revolver?
Yes.
What is the difference between those two to you?
One of them have a clip and the other one, you just load up bullets.
Do you, if I told you that a revolver had a wheel,
Right.
does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
And the gun that you saw him with, was it a semi-automatic, as you say, with a clip, or was it a revolver that has a wheel?
It's a semi-automatic with a clip.
Okay. Do you remember what color it was?
Black.
And do you remember anything else about it?
No.
Have you ever seen that gun before?
No.
Did you know the defendant to carry guns regularly?
Not really. I think one time he says I seen like on his wallet he had like a firearms in New York one time or something like that, but I don't remember ever seeing like or knowing like physically knowing.
Okay. I mean, like, did you personally see him with a gun on occasions before this?
No, he has a lot of security.
Okay. Did you, if someone said that the defendant was known to carry a prop gun or fake guns, would that have been knowledge that you personally had?
No, he don't carry fake guns. I mean, he don't prop guns.
Yes.
No,
You never knew him to carry a prop?
no.
Did you ever know him to have any guns? And I don't mean, now I want to kind of broaden it, so not that he would carry in public, but guns that he would have either at his house or anywhere else.
Not to my knowledge. I never physically seen any guns on Rocky.
Okay. Except for
That night.
that day when
Yeah, that night.
Okay. Now, from what we see on the video, the two of you move off screen off the video. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And when the two of you move off of the screen, is that where he first pulled the gun out of his waistband?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that you saw him do with the gun?
Oh, he pointed at me, and then that's when Elijah was like in between. Like just was, and then I'm right behind Elijah, and I'm saying, if you brought a gun, use it then. Like, that's the words I was saying to him.
When you said he pointed it at you, where on your body was it pointing?
Like towards my stomach.
All right, a couple of interesting points made there by the victim. The fact that he didn't know ASAP Rocky to carry guns very often, although he did say he didn't see him very much. And also, he kept a lot of security. That's ASAP Rocky, always had a lot of security. All right, we'll take a break here, have more testimony on the other side. Keep it here on Court TV.